women so often say, I'm just so fed up that guys look at me this way, that guys talk about me this way. I just wish guys would grow up, their minds are so dirty, why can't they just treat us like ladies? Tonight, we're going to talk about how to change the culture. And I think the way we should look at it, I was at another high school and I came to the school, rang the doorbell for the school because the door is locked, and an intercom came on, and they said, who is it? And I said, oh, my name is Jason. They go, what are you here for? I'm here to do the assembly. And they said, you can't come through here. You have to go to the south door. And I said, okay, where's that? And they said, it's on 7th Street. And I said, where's 7th Street? And they said, it's on the south side. I'm like, oh, thank you. I walked around a circle around the building and got to the door, and it was locked. So I rang on the doorbell. And they said, who are you? And I said, Jason. They said, what are you here about? I said, the assembly. And they said, who's your contact person? What is this, the Pentagon? And they finally let me in, and then I saw why they were so guarded. They had not only a high school inside, they had a preschool inside. These beautiful little kids running around. And in a downtown city, they couldn't just leave the doors wide open for anyone off the streets to walk in and hurt the kids. They knew they had a treasure, so they built a castle around it. And it's the same thing with a woman's body, that the modesty is like this castle guarding the treasure. And I told this analogy once to a pair of girls in West Palm Beach, Florida, who were struggling with the idea of modesty. And after I said that, a light bulb went off over the top of the girl's head, and her eyes opened up, and she said, I guess we just need to start to treasure our bodies. And I said, if you don't, who will? The fact is, your body is priceless, and by the way that you dress, you have power to teach guys that. And I'll grant, it's not immediate. You're not going to wear a long skirt, and every guy is going to be a knight in shining armor. No, it's a cultural problem. We didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to go back overnight. But I think the fact remains that a culture of immodest women will necessarily be a culture of uncommitted men. Because if a lady is wearing a t-shirt that would fit well on like a 3-year-old, she's sending a message that she will give herself to us without us giving anything to her in return. And you see this play out in culture. You see the hooking up, the friends with benefits, the open relationships, and this epidemic of girls who don't even know if they're dating a guy. They'll come and I'll say, are you guys dating? And they'll say, well, no, we're kind of dating. Kind of dating? Well, I don't know if I'm dating. We're seeing each other, but we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. But we did go on a date, but we're not dating. We're kind of a thing. A thing, you know what? A thing is something that grows out of the side of your foot. I mean, you don't want to be a thing, but there's this ambiguity, this lack of commitment. And so often the girl will think that dressing provocatively will cure that lack of commitment in men. It'll win the man over. But personally, as a man, I don't think it cures the lack of commitment. I think it helps to cause it. I got an email here the other day, and the girl shared with me, and she said, as for the way I dress, I just can't stop because I like making guys happy. They like the way I dress, even though they might just want me for my body, which I don't really have a problem with. It's been like that my whole life, and that usually leads to them caring about me for a short while. I don't mind it because I feel really good when they care for me, even if it is for just a little while. And this poor girl, all that she wanted was love. From the time girls are 3 years old, that's what they want to know. Do you love me? Will you pursue me? Will you protect me? Will you delight in me? And a lot of times, if your dad is abusive or absent or neglectful, the girl goes into the world, and that question is not answered. Will you love me? Will you pursue me? Will someone delight in me? And the guys come along and they stare at her body, and it feels like it's making up that missing love. So the girl who's longing for that attention, modesty seems like an enemy. I don't want to dress modestly, and they may have resentment towards modesty. Look, nobody's going to tell me what to wear, but I think girls who are most adamant in saying nobody's going to tell me what to wear, honestly, I think those are the girls who get most dictated to by the fashion industry, where they say in Milan and Paris and New York, today, this season, the color is orange. And the girl's like, oh, I need an orange purse, I need orange shoes, I need an orange loofah sponge for the shower, I need orange. The fashion industry says jump, and they say how high. We're different biologically. The teenage guy has 20 times as much testosterone in his body as a teenage girl has. So she's got to realize this. I heard a comedian once say that if women knew what men were thinking, they'd never stop smacking us. Now, I don't think the problem is that bad, but the fact remains we're different. And psychologically how we work, we're going to put another image on TV right now, and this demonstrates what's called the Gestalt principle of continuity. When you see this, what is the first shape that comes to mind?
Triangle.
Triangle. Triangle is the first thing that comes to mind. And the reason, now it's not a triangle, it's an incomplete picture, but the Gestalt theory of psychology, of continuity, the principle, says that the mind will follow the lines and it will also complete an incomplete picture. Now what this means with the body, if the girl is wearing a low-cut V-neck blouse, or she has a slit coming up to her armpit in her dress, she is essentially, without even realizing it, inviting the man's attention to those body parts. And it is not, and we have to be so clear, it is not that your body is bad. Your body, as a woman, the woman is the pinnacle of all of creation. It is the greatest thing on earth that God has created. God knows it, men know it, the angels know it, advertisers know it. In fact, if you put a woman's body on an advertisement, just put a woman on there, fully clothed, whatever, people will look at that advertisement between 13 to 40% longer as if she wasn't in there. It's the same reason restaurants almost always advertise in the color red. Psychologically, I guess it's tied to your appetite, and you're drawn to that. And it's not that the woman's body is bad, that their body is so terrific. There's nothing in creation like it. I mean, when was the last time you heard a guy who said, man, I'm just addicted to looking at pictures of flamingos on the internet? I mean, they're just so beautiful. They got pink feathers and they got that little one leg. And then his friend said, I can totally relate. I got fired from my job last week because my boss caught me looking at online pictures of sunsets. They were so beautiful. One was Tahiti, and you should have seen the clouds. 4 hours I was online. There isn't this captivation, and creation is gorgeous. It's beautiful, but everything pales in comparison to the beauty of the creation of the woman. And so when the woman dresses modestly, what is she doing for a guy? She's given me the opportunity not to get distracted by how beautiful her body is, so I can see the beauty of her as a person. And as a guy, honestly, we appeal to you girls, and I just say help us because we're weak in this area. I read a quote once I thought was fantastic. It said, men are lost through women, and they're saved by women. By their vanity, they will make a man fall. By their modesty, they will save him. The fact remains that woman has power in the way she dresses. The question is, how are you girls going to use that power? Some girls say, look, if a guy has a bad imagination, that's his problem. It's not mine. And this is this Cain and Abel mentality. Cain kills Abel. God shows up, says, Cain, where's your brother? And he says, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know. He says, I'm not responsible for that guy. And girls, why do you sometimes resent guys? It's because often they will put the passing desire of their physical satisfaction above the desire to do what's best for you. But what is immodesty? It's a girl taking the passing satisfaction of being looked at and being stared at above the desire to do what's best for man. And in both cases, we gotta sacrifice if we're gonna love each other. Because girls, ultimately what you want to be treated like a lady.